What is going on, everybody? I almost forgot about all of you there. What's going on? It's episode 873 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis actors. It's Mary. We were just engrossed in a riveting conversation about wokeness.
It's always riveting before the show. More importantly, I was talking about how people were saying Superman, like some people's critiques of Superman is that it's not that it's a good movie. It's just not woke either. And I was like, that's a thing, you know. Movies can suck for other reasons.
That's actually how reviewing movies worked before wokeness. They would either be good or bad.
It's crazy. Siskel and Ebert could never. We are going to talk a little bit about Superman today, but we got a bunch of other stuff to do before we get into that. So hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share this episode and the segments on this channel out with your friends and your family and your loved ones and everybody in your life that you both like and hate in equal measure. The more people that you share it with, the faster this channel can grow. And the other thing that you can do to help us is to then share it with the people that you hate the most and then argue about it in the comment section of whatever segment you're sharing to increase our engagement. It helps channels like this, like little old channels like us grow. So thank you guys so much for that.
Humble channels with 367,000 subscribers. Just humble little guys.
So
we're the underdogs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So go ahead and do that for all of us. So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. What are we talking about? Well, first things first. So the preview screenings have been had for Superman. It came out yesterday, the Amazon screenings. And now we're looking at the opening box office projections for this movie. We're going to get into the weeds a little bit here with the history of the Superman movies, what Box Office Theory and Box Office Pro are saying about what it's going to look like, how that will stack up at the end of it, and whether that's whether the number that we're looking at here is good or not. So stay tuned for that. We are also going to talk about Jason Isaacs. If you don't know who that is, he was Lucius Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies, and he wants you to know that if you do not like the casting in the new Harry Potter series of Papa Essiedu as Severus Snape, you, my friend, are a racist. So I'm sure that the executives over at Warner Brothers love to see that. Also, we're going to talk about Diabetes Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie just launched a new diversity campaign. She doesn't have Down syndrome. She's not blind. She's not in a wheelchair. She doesn't have a hearing aid. But this time, the new Barbie has type 1 diabetes.
So we're gonna look at the insulin pump accessories.
It's stupid. If any of you in the chat have diabetes, by the way, weigh in. I want to know if you feel represented by this doll. Is this actually improving your quality of life? I'd love to know.
We're gonna talk about that. We are also gonna talk about, get ready for this, the power of Pookie.
Yes.
I can't even say it with a straight face.
I don't know if we have discussed this couple before, but I guess we might have skipped this. I think I remember last year, maybe, when they were first blowing up on TikTok, I brought it up as an idea for something we could cover, and you were just like, I can't today.
Well, there are definitely times where Mary brings something else, and I'm like, I don't got it in me today, bro.
But there's this TikTok couple that has gotten an incredible amount of attention for broadcasting their love for each other, and I have a cynical take.
Shocking.
And the husband in question did a TED Talk about the impact of their social media presence recently, and I just wanted to talk about how they're fighting toxic masculinity in our culture.
I wonder if he's collabed with Justin Baldoni yet.
I mean, I think that at least you could say for Jet Puckett, he is able to kind of keep his emotions together. Like, he's not constantly crying and caressing people.
All right, we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, we can go. You ready?
I think I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then, guys. So, all right. So, the previews for Superman have been had. It came out yesterday. It has a Rotten Tomatoes score at its start of 85% from critics and 96% from audiences. That should be taken with a grain of salt, given the fact that the people who are giving audience scores now are the ones who were diehard enough to get out to the movie to a Tuesday screening of the film. And what we are looking at now is the movie is tracking to open between $100 $115 and $130 million domestically. Now, one of the things that's most interesting about this, guys, as we get into this, is that those are the box office projections from the sites that track this type of stuff. Warner Brothers is giving a $100 million projection, so they're going low. And if I remember correctly, they did the same thing for the Minecraft movie. They're like, oh, shucks, I think it's going to make like $60-70 million. And then it made way more than that, mostly due to walk-up traffic, meaning that it was very hard for them to predict it because it wasn't people who bought tickets online. They went to the theater and actually bought their tickets there.
That's incredible. I never do that.
People still do. I mean, I like every once in a while when I'm going into the theater over here, I do see people that are over at the screens where you still buy it on like a little. Right. There isn't a person who sells you the ticket anymore.
It's not a box office anymore.
It is not. Look, the reviews are kind of all over the place for this. One of the things that I was getting from everybody, if you're in the weeds on X talking about it, is the reviews run the gamut from I loved it to I hated it. A lot of people are just kind of throwing their hands up in the air and saying like, look, I don't know, whatever. I take the opinion that I'm excited to go see it on Thursday, and I want this movie to do very, very well. I use Jeremy Jahns as kind of a bulwark against reviews that run the gamut. And he gave it a better off if you're drunk. That isn't inspiring for a lot of people.
Wait, but is that his version of mid?
That's lower than mid.
Below mid.
Below mid.
Okay.
Yeah. Like better, good time, no alcohol required is like.
So you'd have to be drunk to take her home, basically.
You'd want to, yeah. It'd be better to watch it if you were drinking. Okay. It's looking at a $200 million global opening. The problem with that is from everyone that I follow that talks about box office numbers is that a movie tends to make 3 times its opening weekend. So if it makes $200 million, it's looking to make about $600 million total. I had a tweet here from Odin over at OMB Reviews, who is a fantastic YouTuber. You should go follow him right now and subscribe to his channel. I do listen to all of his box office breakdowns on the weekend. That's the type of stuff that I find very, very interesting to listen to. I don't know if anybody on this channel would actually want us to get in the weeds about stuff like this. But he says, based on the current projections of around $200 million globally for its opening weekend as of now, a lot can still change. That would mean an average run would bring in roughly $600 million. If that happens, it will not break even based on its sizable $225 million budget, actual cost of around $255 to $355-ish million. Financially, this is not where the new DC needs to be, but there's still a chance to overperform, but things aren't looking good for it at the moment. The one upside that I can see for this is that if that audience score remains high, once we get into full showings, meaning that, like, look, people who want to go see Superman on a Tuesday and will pay extra to do that, they're probably excited to go see Superman from the jump, and they're going to you have a better chance of them giving it a high score. But if that audience score stays high through Thursday and Friday, that means that normies are starting to make their way into the theaters, and the chances are that that means good word of mouth, that audience score still remains high. The reason Top Gun Maverick made it to $1 billion wasn't because it did $400 million in its opening weekend. It did like $100 million or something like that in its opening weekend, and then the strong word of mouth of that film had people cycling back into the theaters week after week, and some people even went to see it multiple times. Now, the preview screenings for this were above the last Guardians of the Galaxy at like $20 million, so that's good considering the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie made, I think, $845 million or something like that. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. It's in that ballpark there. But if we're going by numbers from previous Superman movies, Man of Steel opened to $116 million in 2013. Like, I don't know what 106. Did I say this the other? I don't know what 116 million in Man of Steel money is, because I don't know what the currency has been inflated very heavily. And as I said the other day, I said you can't do Man of Steel numbers or even Batman versus Superman numbers really and expect that to hold up given how much the currency has been inflated. So Batman vs. Superman opened to $166 million and went on to make like $800 something million.
Is that like 2018?
2016.
Oh, okay.
And then the outlier here is also Superman Returns, the 2006 Brandon Routh Superman movie, which opened to about $84 million, but only went on to make about $391 million. So it seems to be falling somewhere in the middle between those two. If it makes $600 million, that comes in under Man of Steel, which made $670 million. That's like $900 million in current year.
Right.
So it can't do that. Not if you're looking to inspire confidence for the rest of the universe. Supergirl or whatever is like already filmed or 3/4 done with film. Or I'm sorry, was it Supergirl, Girl of Tomorrow. They need more than that. And I want this movie to be good, and I actually have a feeling that since I'm on the verge of normiedom when it comes to Superman, I'm no great, like critic of the lore, that I'll probably end up liking this movie quite a bit because I'm not going to be heavily critical of it. I mean, I love Smallville, so like my bar is not super high for this. But Jurassic World over 5 days opened to $312 million.
With the long
5 days, yes, over a 5 day weekend, but still that 2 days makes up $100 million.
So what we were talking about before we began the live stream today was actually, about whether a movie can be just good or bad and no bearing on its wokeness factor.
Yeah.
Can I just request that you go to the Deadline article, please, and show that header photo that they're using there? I am probably speaking out of turn here because maybe this is, I don't know what she looks like in comics, okay? I'll just disclaimer, but look at her shoes. I'm sorry, this is something that I like hyper focused on.
The boots?
Why the hell isn't she wearing stilettos? I'm sorry, but that's woke. I'm just gonna say it. That is woke as hell. I'm sorry. In the 2000s, I am telling you right now, Lois
flats?
Lane those aren't even flats. Those are worse than flats.
Those are work boots.
In the 2000s, Lois Lane would be wearing freaking stilettos.
Why is she wearing Timberlands? I want to know.
I just have to be real. I'm not even trying to nitpick. I'm not even trying to like be sensationalist and negative for no reason. But what the actual F is that?
That's a very good question.
I'm sorry, but that's woke.
You should tweet this.
That's woke. I don't care what anyone says.
Look, I am not seeing like none of the critics of this movie are calling it that. None of the people that are disliking this movie are saying that it is because of those reasons.
Just those little insidious things that you wouldn't even notice. It's a blink and you miss it.
Here's the thing, though. That's the type of thing that you notice on like the fourth watch of a movie. Like that's the stuff I noticed like the third or fourth time around. This is like one of the
promotional photos that are like, this is so epic. Like you really want to see this scene where they're floating in the air and kissing. And the whole thing is just ruined by that.
I'm guessing that the men aren't going to notice this.
But you notice it without noticing it.
Kind of like I say that men don't notice.
Right. Okay. Sure.
Eyeliner.
But you do notice it. Subconsciously, you notice it. And it sucks.
Okay, then here's the thing, guys. I am going to go see it on Thursday. I implore everyone here who is also planning to see it to let me know if Lois Lane's Timberlands end up like ruining the movie for you.
So far.
Look, to be fair, like I've been showing Olivia Arrow. And the amount of times that Felicity is like needlessly or is like always in heels because she wears the pencil skirts in every episode and she's always in danger. If I was Felicity Smoke, I would be wearing flats every day because I'm constantly having to run from danger.
It's a Superman movie. It doesn't matter if it's realistic. And also things like costuming and set design and lighting and all of that stuff, that deserves incredible attention to detail, and to act like her choice of footwear is just an afterthought for the producers of this movie.
What if we find out that this scene has something to do, she's on the run, she's working in the field, doing something, maybe the scene explains it. I don't know. But it's funnier to think about that she just sits around in like Skechers.
So yeah, those are my main.
Skechers would be more like kitschy, like it would be more interesting.
Right. We have 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. One thing I know about box office projections that drives the people that do the predictions nuts. It's nearly impossible to predict the multiple viewing figures.
Yes, and that's a big reason of why movies like Top Gun Maverick do as well as they do. It's because people go to see it multiple times. When a movie hits hard enough with a person that they're willing to go see it multiple times. I remember for some reason, this still sticks in my brain really, really heavily, is when they were doing promotion after the release of the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. They were actually talking about that. They're like, oh my gosh, the action scenes were so crazy and good that people left the theater and just got right back in line and went and saw it again. And I love that 1995 Mortal Kombat movie, but that was a talking point even then.
I'm looking at the chat. Not surprised a woman pointing out the shoes. Pick your battles.
Here's the thing: the women that are going,
it's important.
The women that are going to this movie are being brought there by boyfriends and husbands.
Facts.
So they're like, there is no magical woman out there who is like, you know what? I was gonna go see Superman this weekend, but you know what? I just saw the Devil Wears Prada 2 announcement, and then I saw Lois Lane's shoes, and I said, "Fuck this! I'm not going." That's not a thing.
No, I know that. I know that. But I'm just saying it's the little things that really create the entire atmosphere and feeling that you get from a movie. And it's things like that.
There are plenty of critiques even of the promotion for this movie where people are saying they're picking the absolute worst clips to release to promote this movie. So they released the clip of Lois being like basically interviewing Clark as Superman, and then he gets really out of sorts because he doesn't like her questions. Then they released the clip of Superman going and yelling and screaming at Lex Luthor because his dog is missing, and they're like, why are these the clips? And then they explain, they're like, look, when you watch the movie in context, it makes perfect sense. If you abducted my dog, I would probably do the same thing. But the problem is like that doesn't make it good promotional material for the movie. You know what they could do though? Just CGI it out.
Yeah, they can change it.
Just change. Like, look, look. They changed the name to Birds of Prey a week after its release. They could just make a new digital file and put some fake ass some Louboutins on there.
Lubes.
Yeah, give her some red bottoms, and everything will be fine.
Well, another thing that you could use to get women to get interested in this movie is a cute dog, right?
Well, that's
my other problem with this movie is that I can't stand the dog, and the dog is ugly.
Well,
so those are my main problems. She should be wearing sexy stilettos, and the dog should be cute. You messed up on both counts.
They're like, look, we already gave you like a Lois and Clark that have chemistry. What more do you want from us? They're like, we're giving the bare minimum. Look, guys, I am excited for this movie. Look, I'm not even going to take you through the first reactions. I mainly wanted to go through those numbers. $200 million. Personally, I don't think that is enough unless this movie ends up having stronger than average returns, meaning that more people come back and rewatch the movie and walk up traffic. Otherwise, $200 million in a month as busy as this one is, like, I don't even know necessarily what Jurassic World's fall off is going to be from week 1 to week 2. And then you've got Fantastic Four at the end of the month. It's a busy month for moviegoers. And what I think the best thing to stay tuned for would be to watch where that audience score sits once the Thursday screenings start. And I will have a review for you guys. I was actually thinking about it because I was getting so black-pilled because everybody's posting the reviews yesterday. I'm like, should I even bother now?
What do you mean?
Like, well, because everybody's already doing their reviews and they're already up for most people. A lot of people bought the Amazon tickets for the Tuesday showing, and I probably should have done that. And I'm like, maybe I'll just go see this movie and not take notes and actually enjoy it. But, you know.
You should review it.
We'll wait and see. So stay tuned, guys. Let me know what you think down below if you are watching live and if you are watching the clip of this, because it will be interesting to see, where do you think this movie ends up falling? Does it make more than Man of Steel, not adjusted for inflation, meaning $670 million or higher? And how much does this movie need to make for Warner Brothers to look at James Gunn and be like, okay, move on forward, we trust your vision? So let me know down below.
All right. I regret to inform you that the Sydney Sweeney is Mid discourse has once again been resurrected. She took a photo with a fan at a karaoke bar, and this photo is, heat of the moment. She's kind of sweaty. She's not wearing makeup, it seems. And then people started zooming in on it and saying, wow, like, this proves it. Sydney Sweeney has been mid this whole time, and we just didn't realize it. We were in a drunken stupor after her SNL appearances.
They had the beer goggles after seeing Superman.
So we got a closer up photo as well to show
Another
in the second post here, and they say, "Can we all admit that Sydney Sweeney isn't pretty now?" Like as if everyone was just participating in a mass formation psychosis.
They're like,
thinking that this woman is attractive.
COVID ended and then Sydney Sweeney started.
And then another one said, "She looks pretty here. She just doesn't look like some kind of model who blows you away. She just is a derpy, hot blonde with big tits." And I agreed with that. Like, obviously she's not a supermodel. She is an actress. If she were a supermodel,
it would be different.
She would not be in movies and TV shows. That's part of the job is that you're interesting to look at, that you're expressive, and that you don't look cookie cutter. So, I mean, she has unique traits. I feel like I'm kind of going crazy. Like, is there really that much wrong with how she looks in this photo?
No.
Like, she's just not wearing tons of makeup.
In the early 2000s, there would have been thousands of these on your MySpace profile going out to some scene club.
Sure.
And it would have been part of the culture.
But she just looks totally normal to me. And then I wonder, like, would they prefer how she looks when she's been in a makeup chair for 3 hours?
Yeah, but then they would
say a red
say,
carpet event.
But then the people who are critiquing that opinion would say you're porn-brained and you don't know what a real woman looks like.
They could easily say that. And then another post showed her in a role. I think this is from her role as reality winner. I think that was last year that came out.
This one?
Yeah. And they said, "Do you think Sydney Sweeney is attractive? Looks pretty mid to me."
We all know that a real human being named Reality Winner is a psyop and something with DARPA, some laser beam that rewired all our brains, psyop. We're in another dimension.
And then they said, "Mid is generous. There is no Amish hot." And then they post a side-by-side of her in a red carpet and then the Reality Winner photo. And they're like, "What happened? What happened is that in one photo she's wearing makeup and in the other photo she's not. Do you prefer women with makeup or do you not?" That's the question. And men will universally say that they prefer no makeup on women, and then their revealed preference is makeup and as much fakery as possible.
I think that those are two different subsets of men sometimes. I'm in the chat for Buns Buggy. That's the name of the person in the chat. Says, "Wake up in the morning, Coyote Ugly." Fantastic Coyote Ugly reference. If you haven't seen that movie, you should. The reference in the movie is that, you know, when you take a woman home from the bar and you wake up, you know, sober finally, and you look over and she's so ugly you'd rather chew your own arm off than wake her. That's Coyote Ugly.
It wasn't too long ago that the mid discourse around Sydney Sweeney first erupted. In December 2024, there were these photos of her, I believe in her backyard, in her Florida mansion, wearing no makeup, in a bikini, and men absolutely lost it over this, saying that she was mid in these photos, and that she's also, they were saying she's fat as well, which is just mind-boggling. And you have to think, like, these people are so chronically online. Yeah. Like, have you not seen a woman in a bikini in real life before?
They don't go to the beach.
It doesn't take that much effort. Another tweet said, "Our grandfathers would maybe see one woman this hot in a lifetime and paint her on the side of a plane and carpet bomb the shit out of each other. You see a dozen stepsisters stuck in dryers hotter than her before breakfast and wonder why nobody wants to die in a trench anymore." So basically, porn is why men don't go to war.
Yeah, like, why go to war if you can just go online?
There's definitely some truth in that. Like, if you're just inundated with imagery of impossibly hot women constantly, that has to do something to you neurologically.
Especially with men being verifiably visual creatures as opposed to women who are... And women have their preference of, you know, milking farm books that do the same thing to them.
They said the same of Sabrina Carpenter as well.
Yeah.
I think, like, watching porn definitely convinces your lizard brain that you're fulfilling a biological imperative. That's a very powerful dopamine feedback loop that you can get entrenched in, and it will convince you that you actually, like, convince you on a subconscious level, on like a primordial level, that you actually are having sex with these women.
Not even just, okay, so back in the day, your fathers or your older brothers would buy magazines like FHM. And
what's FHM?
They were like men's magazines.
I've never even heard of that one.
So every woman, every actress that was some type of sex symbol or attractive female actress would end up having a cover on one of these magazines, where then they would complain about 10 years later and be like, oh my God, look how they exploited me for my looks. The point is, you had to go out and buy something like that and choose to read it, for the articles. And that was a pursuit that you did, and it took up a set amount of time in your day, and then you left your room and went on about your day. Now you're inundated with that 24/7 on your Instagram feed, and you wonder why men are like that.
Well, yeah, and then women are seeing the same Instagram feed and just turning that criticism on themselves, right? It calls back to the conversation we were having yesterday about the way people bluster online and they express their darkest thoughts in instantaneous fashion without much forethought. And the men calling Sydney Sweeney mid almost certainly do not have as high of standards for attractiveness in women as they claim to online.
I mean, let's face it, this is probably mostly Indian bot farms looking to sow discord amongst the genders here in America.
So true. Open Bob and Vagine.
It is.
Literally.
They're not Americans doing this. This is
Can
all
we just
fake.
have a separate internet? Can actually maybe the Indians should have their own internet?
Look, it could be like
closed
I will
off.
play both sides of the aisle here. It could be Russian bots too. It could be Vladimir Putin looking to sow discord
to demoralize
between
American men.
You know why? Because he's like, look, if I want to end up nuking Ukraine, I got to make sure men don't want to go to war. Right. The best way to do that is to put women on the internet so that they don't want to get into a plane and drop bombs on us.
Exactly.
There we go. It's all geopolitics.
The code.
It's all geopolitics. It's Putin wanted Crimea, and since then we're screwed.
It's a CIA psyop without a question.
I did see a video yesterday on Instagram where it's a woman and she goes, I can't.
What?
I can't be with a man who's a good father. And then it cuts to like people dancing, says the CIA.
Why would she say that?
I have no idea where it's
I guess
from.
I wouldn't want to date a father personally.
But that's not what she said. She says,
she doesn't want to date a man who would
be with a man who would be a good father. And then it just cuts to like the CIA dancing. Like
they make it too easy these days. It's like stealing candy from a baby.
Yep.
These psyops are just getting pulled off without a hitch.
Look, this discourse is it's like as repetitive as the Margot Robbie discourse. I don't know why those two specifically. They don't even look alike. They're not even of the same type.
They're just both blonde.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where those similarities
Is there a
start and
Scarlett
end.
Johansson is mid discourse as well?
We talked about it.
Is it always
Scarlett
blondes?
Johansson has been called mid as well. Yeah.
Who has been called unequivocally not mid? Is there anybody?
Livy Dunn?
I mean, that'll just change over time.
I don't know. They might change their minds about her as well.
Like Paul Skeens will go on a losing streak.
Who's not mid? If that's my question at this
point.
point.
Who isn't mid?
If Scarlett Johansson is mid, who isn't mid? Genuine question.
If everybody's mid, then nobody's mid.
Yeah, exactly.
We're back to body positivity.
Exactly.
Horseshoe theory.
Do they find anyone attractive? Are they just turning gay? I think the internet is turning men gay. Truly.
I can't right now. It's
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think that Sydney Sweeney and mid belong in the same sentence. She is exceptionally attractive. That is the objective truth.
I mean, I just feel like if you're getting into this, look, maybe this is just my own. I'm on my own side of the internet, tweeting about Superman, and that's my corner of the internet. But if you're in this corner of the internet and this is what you're arguing about, maybe we should both go touch grass. I'll touch grass and not talk about Superman, and you touch grass and stop talking about whatever this shit is.
I'll even go out on a limb and say, even if Sydney Sweeney didn't have huge tits, she would still be exceptionally attractive. I like her face. She has a good face.
All right, let's move on. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see cringe first.
Cringe first. All right. Is today? I mean, actually, I already know the answer because there's literally nothing that could be worse than what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be worse than yesterday. That's for sure. It'll take me a while to top that one.
Oh man, is that a Labubu?
Yeah, that's a Labubu microphone.
What material are those pants?
Ballistic fabric? Why?
It would be a shame if you got whipped in those.
I mean, it was staged, so it's less cringe.
This is a study in Zoomer sexuality.
Yeah. Yeah. The Labubu microphone is the biggest offense.
That's the ick here. That really took the cake for me. I'm on a one-woman jihad against Labubus.
Yes,
if you guys don't follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you wouldn't know that.
So
but
he's talking
the Labubu fandom is coming after me right now.
So he's saying ballistic material. So what? Kevlar pants so that he doesn't get shot? Is he?
I mean, in Times Square, you might have to worry about that.
Does he particularly go into areas where that's likely to happen?
New York City, baby.
I watched this video the other day about how somebody made this video about how the magic of John Wick was lost when they started having like ballistic fabric suits that he's wearing rather than like just a regular bulletproof vest. Like it was more engaging when it wasn't so like pulp and fake. Not to say that those things aren't real, but it felt more normal for him to just have to strap on a bulletproof vest rather than like, here's your bulletproof shirt and your bulletproof pants.
I didn't even know such a thing existed.
Bulletproof fabrics exist.
Wow.
All right, cute of the day. Here we go. We have a Nepo. A Nepo baby. Olivia Claire says 4-in-1 for cute of the day. Bucket, Toast, Dusty, and Chloe. Honorary mention to Mocha. Yeah, but not honorary showing, right?
Yeah, we're not going to look at any pictures of Mocha. What the hell?
There is Bucket. Bucket was outside the house when I was leaving this morning.
Very sweet.
He sits in the street or in our walkway because there's good shade over it, and he knows that whenever we come home, he's going to get food.
Is there a reason he's named Bucket?
I don't know. He's got a brother named Dusty.
Okay. Cute.
There's Toast sitting in the most uncomfortable looking way possible.
I love that.
The other day on the incline, she was sitting up and she looked kind of like Mufasa staring out over Pride Rock.
Toast is pretty.
Yes. There's Dusty.
Dusty's got a nice little mane.
Dusty only comes out at night, likely because of the mane.
Yeah.
We love Dusty. Let's see. We got one more here. And there's Chloe. That's giving
she looks like a shrimp.
That's giving me paint me like one of your French girls. And I don't like it. So, Chloe, I'm gonna have to put the kibosh on that one.
Mocha's my favorite, to be honest.
Well, everybody loves Mocha, but Mocha can't be featured on here. The rules are clear. I don't make them.
I still remember just actually being so shocked at the sound of Mocha's
voice.
Mocha's voice. I don't know, her meow, if you could even call it that. Like I knew you were like complaining about it being awful, but I was like, oh, he's being dramatic.
I wasn't being dramatic.
Oh, it actually sounds like a cat that's being like murdered.
Yeah. At all times.
It's giving JoJo Siwa's cover of Betty Davis Eyes.
Honestly, yeah. Like if there was a human being to do a Mocha song, it would have to be JoJo Siwa. Oh boy. Yeah. All right, let's get started.
Troubles continue for HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series, and now the alum who played Lucius Malfoy in the original movies, Jason Isaacs, has thrown his hat in the ring and spoken out against the racist, toxic fans who are critiquing the decision to race swap Severus Snape, once played by Alan Rickman, now played by Papa Essiadu, who is black, if you weren't aware already. He was speaking at a panel at Fan Expo Denver and made it clear that he's had enough of the racist comments being directed at the acclaimed British actor, saying, Papa Essiadu is one of the best actors I've ever seen in my life. Okay, you're protesting too much. I've seen some people online who are being rude about him. What they're being is racist. And then continued to say that he is hyped for the project. All the cast of the new Harry Potter TV series are amazing. They will be swallowing their tongues, hopefully, you know, their digital tongues, when they see what Papa Esiaду does on screen.
Here's the thing, though. One of the great responses said, so what? Meryl Streep's a great actress. Doesn't mean she should be playing Snape.
No.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Certainly doesn't mean Meryl Streep should be playing Aslan in the Chronicles of Narnia as a gender-swapped version of Jesus.
I'll go farther. Like, Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt are great actors. They wouldn't be good for Severus Snape either.
No.
Like, it does not matter.
No, and you know, a lot of people over the years with race swap discourse have tried to couch it. They've tried to equivocate and avoid those accusations of being racist. And the funny thing about where we're at currently is people will just get called racist by Hollywood actors, and they are so fatigued with the accusation, they just say, yes, I am. Like, you know, you have no other choice at that point but to accept the label. And because the label means nothing anymore.
Yep.
It's lost all meaning. It's lost all weight. To call anyone racist or sexist or homophobic or anti-Semitic or transphobic or fatphobic, you could go down the list. They are just willing to accept it now because the point of the critique, it's not he's unqualified for the job. It's that he should have never been considered for this job. And they knew what they were doing when they cast him. They knew exactly the type of attention this was going to court. When
I think about, like, all the way back to, like, early days of the discourse in Hollywood as it is today, like, I'm talking, like, 2017, 2018, the argument I would have made to the contrary, and I think it still holds water, is that, look, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So if your claim is that anybody who doesn't like the casting of this character is racist, then I would ask that you find some type of evidence other than disagreeing with the casting that says that that is true.
Okay. Look, you could find plenty of tweets that are being racist toward Papa Esiadu.
Yeah.
No doubt. But it wouldn't take you very long to find them.
But that's a straw man.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that's not the crux of the issue. That would still be a misrepresentation of the critique that is being aimed at Warner Brothers for this decision. Yep. We have a couple of responses. Nina Infinity said, here we go. The new Harry Potter is always going to be about how racist everyone is for criticizing it. It could have been a fun show for people to nerd out over, but no.
Honestly, I would rather watch a documentary about the social media team and the executives as this show is being released. That's rather than the show itself. Like, I want to watch, who is that? Casey Bloys? I want to watch him rip lines of coke and get an intern to write like clapbacks.
Yes.
Like, that would be way more fun. Like, he's like, make a name like I love Harry Potter 24 and call this dude a racist.
To be a fly on the wall for the social media team at Warner Brothers. I would love to hear those conversations. Another one said, oh, Jason, you have no idea what racist really means except to use as a pejorative to throw at fans rightfully upset that Snape is now black. It has zero to do with Esiadu's acting talent. So what I was saying before is, like, the argument at first about race swaps from people who were critical of them was, well, it seems that you chose this actor because of their race and not because of their acting talent. And you can see once the show or movie is out that they didn't do the role justice. However, if we're to take Jason Isaacs at his word that Papa Esiadu is this outstanding performer and he is irreproachable when it comes to his acting ability.
Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Yes. It actually wouldn't change the critique that's being aimed at the race swap. That it would just make it more of a loss for them to misuse him on that role.
Yep.
So yeah, the critique is about the fact that Snape is black. What about it?
This person says, there's no way you can convince me that the people in charge of diversity in Hollywood over the past decade actually like minorities. No way.
Why?
They're saying because they keep putting them in these situations.
They're setting them up for failure.
Yeah.
Well, look, no, I reject that premise, to be honest, because I think that most of these actors who get roles that are race swaps kind of enjoy the backlash. They kind of get a sick thrill out of being a victim, And Papa Essiadu has so far not spoken out in as much of an explicit way as Jason Isaacs has or others, but he did choose to sign that open letter, that petition against the UK Supreme Court decision that defined biological sex, which in part was advocated for by J.K. Rowling. He made that decision because he knew people would take note and they would assume he is at odds with her.
It would be
so
hilarious.
He's already trying to court controversy, and he is making himself a problem. And J.K. Rowling had to then come out and say, I don't have the power nor the desire to take this person's job away because they have protected beliefs opposite mine, which is mature of her. But I think she would be well within her rights and privileges as the creative behind this whole franchise to order his firing for something as small as that. It is a big deal, and he knew it was a big deal. That's why he did it.
It would be hilarious if he ends up being the gold standard for like fan interaction, where he's like, look, I understand your critiques of this choice, but I implore you to please give this show a shot, and if you don't like it, I understand why, and have a good day. Like literally what I just said
Have a good day.
Like literally what I just said is everything that a celebrity needs to say when they get put in this position. It's that simple. Like, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. I mean, 90% of the time, it's still going to fall flat and fail. But if you're trying to avoid making it worse, what I just said is all you need to say, and then repeat ad nauseum when you get interviewed. Like it's like when they it's like Henry Cavill when the journalist, when they were promoting The Witcher, is like, so what do you think of those toxic fans? And he's like, well, you know what? I think they're passionate and they care about the product. And he was the gold standard of being able to sidestep scummy variety-esque journalist questions like, Mark Malkin or whatever that guy's name is. That's going to be the great part. I can't wait to watch that guy ask questions on the red carpet.
Okay, I'm not like a psychic or, fortune teller, but I can tell you with certainty when Papa Essiadu and the rest of the cast start going out on press tours to promote this show, he will be asked questions about the racist backlash, right?
And the sad thing
and he will take the bait. He actually is planning on it. I'm telling you, he wants that. That is within his interest as a talent in Hollywood to take the bait on questions like that. It's not something that's going to count against him. It will work in his favor, and he will take that opportunity for press, for himself, not for the show.
And let's face it, like, if I'm Warner Brothers, I'm telling I'm telling Isaacs to, like, shut the hell up. Like, bro, you're not even in the new one.
Yeah, why are you riding the coattails of this new project that you're not even involved in? People were also talking about his posts regarding the actor who was cast as Lucius Malfoy in the series, Johnny Flynn, and he was celebrating that and saying he was so excited and like, see you in Hogwarts, whatever. Him posting about it in general is just kind of embarrassing and clout chasey.
Look, I don't care about that part. They're going to expect these people to promote with them. They're going.
They better be paying them to promote.
All of these actors are going to be expected to promote the new series. They're all going to do stuff like this. But this is not the type of promotion they need right now.
Daniel Radcliffe is not going to be promoting shit.
I'm not saying that they're going to. I'm saying that like a lot of people are going to be expecting most of the cast, maybe not the main three because of their being at odds with Rowling. Right. But the older actors had less of an issue with her than the younger actors. But a lot of them have died. I mean, Robbie Coltrane died. Obviously the original Snape passed. I don't know what you do, but you should have cast Adam Driver. That's what you should have done.
That's what everyone wanted.
And got him a dialect coach and made sure that he could handle it. But
this is TBD, but everyone wanted Cillian Murphy as Voldemort, and they were hinting at it, but it's not confirmed. And everyone wanted Adam Driver to play Snape.
You just
give the people what they want. Make Henry Cavill James Bond. Do the thing. Do the thing that they want you to do. Why is that so hard? It's like a weird form of like teenage rebellion that's being expressed by these Hollywood casting offices where they have to do the unexpected choice.
I wonder if Henry Cavill, I guess not, it's Amazon now. I was like, well, I wonder if Henry Cavill just costs too much. But there is no too much for Amazon. It's Amazon.
No, and you could just say like, oh, he's too old for the role. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. People will watch it if you put Henry Cavill in it. And they always just have to convolute this stuff. It's so easy to do fan service, and not even in a tacky, corny, like lowbrow way. Just give the people what they want. Why?
And put
I'll never understand it.
And put Lois Lane in her high heels.
And put Lois Lane in stilettos. It's not that hard. Like, I just need to start a consulting firm because they clearly need my help. It's just wild to me.
All right, let's do some super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, happy Wednesday, Brett and Mary, for all of the work Mary has done warning about Labubu. I posted a short of y'all giving the demonic doll an exorcism. Yeah, it needs one. Well, really, the people buying the Labubus need exorcisms. They are truly possessed. They are possessed by Pazuzu.
Yeah.
I got this insane comment on one of my Labubu videos from one of these child-free people. And it said, who wouldn't want a dog over, or maybe they mean a dog or a Labubu, over a child? One is cuddly and adorable and doesn't grow into a shitty human and doesn't judge and is cute and cuddle and not human. And the other throws up and shits its pants and you have to clean it and it grows into a human and you don't get to sleep for years and it's ugly. This person needs an exorcism. Yeah. These people have issues. Well-spoken token said, ravioli, ravioli, give me the formuoli. Brett wouldn't get that one. He's not a SpongeBob fan, but I appreciate that. Sethington Media said, Mary and Brett do an incredible job hosting. Well, thank you. Well, but who was trying to say that we don't do an incredible job?
I was just curious. Thank you for that. I was just curious. Henry Cavill. I just quickly asked Grok how much money moolah Henry Cavill has made all time at the box office. Looks like it's about $4.1 billion. The top three being Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel, Justice League, The Immortals in 2011, and The Count of Monte Cristo in 2002. It barely counts. He doesn't even look like Henry Cavill in that movie. You know, Batman vs. Superman, you could argue that that's as much Ben Affleck's movie as it is his.
Sure.
And Justice League is Gal Gadot's movie, Ben Affleck's movie, and his. Man of Steel is his movie. I don't really think of him as like the... and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. made $107 million. The top of the box office sits Scarlett Johansson with $14.8 billion over 36 films. Samuel L. Jackson with 14.6, Robert Downey Jr. with 14.3, Zoe Saldana with 14.2. All of these are Marvel actors. Chris Pratt with 14.1. Tom Cruise, I believe, is like the only one on the list of top 10 that isn't a Marvel actor.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel and The Rock are up there.
Wait, ScarJo was where on the list?
Number 1.
Okay.
14.8.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Let's do one more.
Burned Oils said, Mary, I'm always fascinated by how you can eat big tacos from Taco Bell with such a small eating hole. Looks cute though, feminine, #Ozempic pandemic.
I mean, the tacos at Taco Bell
I'm not
aren't
on
big.
Ozempic. I don't even eat tacos from Taco Bell. I like the Crunchwrap.
Yeah, and the tacos aren't like big.
For me, it's just like make it an occasional thing, you know, when I feel like I deserve a treat.
Have you cut down on your Taco Bell consumption?
Yes.
A lot?
In frequency. Yes.
Instead of a sweet treat, you have a Taco Bell treat?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then, you know, you got to make up for it the other days of the week.
Yeah.
And moderation is key.
Let's do one more.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, I can't tell the difference in Sydney Sweeney in the photo of her on the red carpet. Prawn brain has corrupted men's idea of feminine beauty. Unfortunately, yes. But I mean, look, the difference is palpable. However, if anything, I think heterosexual men should be more attracted to a photo of a woman who is sweaty with no makeup with her tits out compared to a photo of a woman who is dolled up like a pageant queen. Like, I genuinely think if you are truly a straight man, the sweaty pic should be the one you prefer. but things are all topsy-turvy nowadays.
All right, let's move on. We got more to get into.
All right.
I can already tell you're going to love this one.
Last year, we talked about Barbie unveiling their very first Down syndrome Barbie. And I was the villain on that episode because I said, this is stupid, no one needs it, and no one wants it other than a bunch of activist parents who are forcing DEI on their children. Well, Barbie has earned a reputation for this. They have released not only the Down syndrome Barbie, but also a blind Barbie, a Barbie in a wheelchair, a Barbie with hearing aids, countless examples so far, and of course, plus-size Barbies. And the newest one is Barbie with type 1 diabetes. They just revealed this yesterday. Mattel has announced
fashionable glucose monitor.
The very first Barbie doll with type 1 diabetes who will sport a glucose monitor and insulin pump. And I looked at the product page. This is a real thing.
Can somebody tell me where if 130 mg DL is good or bad?
Yeah, is she having a medical emergency right now?
I need to know whether that's good or bad. And does Mattel actually make glucose monitors? Because that would be diabolical.
Barbie fashionistas dolls celebrate diversity and offer endless possibilities for storytelling and fashion exploration. Designed to reflect the world kids see today, this diverse line of Barbie dolls showcases bright, trendy styles and inspire endless storytelling possibilities. Barbie partnered with Breakthrough T1D to design a doll that celebrates this community. Yes, if anyone in the chat has diabetes, just so you know, you are part of a community now. All of you know each other, right? You just know everyone else on the planet who has diabetes because it's a community.
A blood sugar of 100 or higher is considered abnormal. A range of 100 to 125 falls under the category of pre-diabetic. So
okay.
she is
she's stable. That would be above normal.
Yeah, it's above normal.
They say her polka dot top and skirt are a nod to the global symbols that represent diabetes awareness, a circle shape and the color blue. To manage her type 1 diabetes, Barbie uses an insulin pump and a continuous glucose monitor, CGM. To keep her CGM in place, she has heart-shaped medical tape, in Barbie pink, of course. And on her phone that she's holding, it displays a CGM app to help Barbie track her blood sugar levels throughout the day. That way, she stays healthy and is ready for a fun adventure anytime, anywhere.
I know this is awful to ask, but I wonder if she's got like the diabetic socks in the high heels.
Yeah, they didn't add those. I didn't see any compression socks here. But look, what I was saying about the Down syndrome Barbie still applies here. Kids don't care about having a Barbie doll that represents them. They just don't. I was a little girl once who played with Barbie dolls. I didn't care at all if I was playing with one that looked exactly like me. They're dolls. And the point is that you have an imagination. And the problem here at the root of it all, it's the parents. And especially the moms. But the parents are really the reason why something like this exists and is able to sell. I saw one of the questions sent in by a customer. Will there be other diabetes dolls that have blonde hair? My daughter would love one that looks similar to her. No, you would love that. Okay, and then here's some of the product reviews. Absolutely love this Barbie and the inclusivity. I think Mattel is doing a great job at including everyone. Little kids everywhere can play with Barbies that are truly relatable. And another one said they got one for their 3-year-old daughter. Beware, that is a choking hazard. She immediately loved it. The first thing she commented on were her shoes and her blue dress and her hair.
So she did notice. All the stuff you would normally comment on.
Yes, but she did notice the stomach device and referred to it as her purse. She didn't mind it at all. She hasn't noticed the pink patch on her arm yet. I assume she thinks the Barbie has a sticker. My wife and I tried to explain what it actually was as best as we could to a 3-year-old. Why? She's 3. She doesn't care about what disease Barbie suffers from. This is all for your own virtue signaling purposes. Another review said, I loved giving my daughter this and opened a conversation about diabetes with her. It's something new. She's only 7. So I was able to explain what exactly the attachment on Barbie was and how she may come across someone who has one. She was so excited when she realized that she does actually know someone with one. Another one said, awesome representation. My kids love playing with Barbies, and we were so excited to see one who has type 1 diabetes, even with a monitor and pump. We have a close family friend who has type 1 diabetes, so this was an excellent opportunity to explain what each item was and what it does to keep people safe and healthy. Truly a great addition to the Barbie lineup.
See, you're thinking about this the wrong way, Mary. You're thinking about this as it's a form of quasi-indoctrination on the children. I think this is a fantastic example of why capitalism works.
It's virtue capitalism. That's what it is. These people are deranged. It's truly. The last thing I wanted when my parents bought me a Barbie doll was for them to sit me down and make it an educational moment. I didn't want to talk about my Barbie's accessories. I wanted to just be left alone to play with the dolls. That is their purpose, okay? I cannot stress enough. It's really the activist moms who are at fault here.
I mean, at the rate we're going, all the moms in this country are going to be activists.
Like a little girl could not give less of a shit if her Barbie doll has diabetes or blindness or a wheelchair or fat calves. They don't care.
Somebody asked why she's that size. It's this is type 1 diabetic Barbie, not type 2 diabetic.
Right.
Barbie.
So the autoimmune genetic disorder, not
that was the other part about it.
Lifestyle related.
Type 1 diabetes, if I remember correctly, is a genetic condition.
Partly genetic.
Partly genetic, which is why it makes more sense to them to do this rather than type 2 diabetes version, which could just use Lena Dunham as a model.
Well, alongside the generic diabetes doll, they also unveiled a couple of celebrity dolls that are modeled after one activist who is an instructor for Peloton who has type 1 diabetes, and another one, the Nepo daughter of Kate Moss, Lila Moss, who has type 1 diabetes. She spoke to Vogue about the doll that is modeled after her, saying, I have such fun memories of being at my grandma's house and playing with a Barbie Malibu dream house as a child. And raising awareness for type 1 diabetes has always been really important to me. But I think creating this Barbie has also been a sort of healing experience for that little girl.
I think one of the biggest scams in the world is raising awareness.
So Lila Moss, who has type 1 diabetes, is implying somehow that not being able to play with a Barbie doll that had an insulin pump as a child was something that she needed to heal from. The level of first world problem that we are facing right now. By the way, the daughter of international supermodel Kate Moss, who grew up in unimaginable privilege and wealth. Yep. This is the type of problem that really caused her deep emotional wounds as a child.
Well, you know, when you're born that wealthy, you're grading on a scale.
This is so irritating. Like I can't get over it. And then they put out a press release. They say this line enables more children to see themselves reflected in Barbie and encourages play that extends beyond a child's own lived experience, fostering a greater sense of inclusion and empathy, pillars of the Barbie brand's mission. The vice president of Barbie said, introducing a Barbie with type 1 diabetes marks an important step in our commitment to inclusivity and representation. Barbie helps shape children's early perceptions of the world, and by reflecting medical conditions like diabetes, we ensure more kids can see themselves in the stories they imagine and the dolls they love. They genuinely believe like a group of little girls is going to be playing with Barbies on a play date, and one of them is going to have the one that has the insulin pump, and they're going to incorporate that into the storyline. Okay, any little girl knows that when you were playing with Barbies as a kid, they were either mermaids or there was a wedding. You're not talking about anything like deep and about the real world.
Diabetics get married too. Maybe they need to figure out where to put the insulin pump on the wedding dress.
Like she's walking down the aisle and suddenly her blood sugar crashes. It's a medical emergency, and she has to check her CGM app on her little Barbie phone. Get over yourselves. I'm sorry. When I said that the Down syndrome Barbie was a stupid decision, people said that I was actually like, I was wrong. Like, no, like kids with Down syndrome like want this, and they like feel not included when they play with Barbies that don't have Down syndrome. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the adults in their lives are far more focused on the condition that they have than the kids themselves. Kids with Down syndrome don't just constantly think about the fact that they have Down syndrome, nor should they. You shouldn't be reminded of that by a bunch of busybody activists and your own parents, God forbid. This is actually just so evil. Like, I think it's sinister. I really do.
Maybe I just don't think about it that deeply, but I definitely think about it in the context that the parents are the ones that this is for, and that it is a certain level of cope. And I think the point I made earlier was that down the line, the parents would buy this for them. And then maybe later as they go to college and they get indoctrinated into whatever Marxist philosophy that they take on, they'll be like, I felt so grateful that I had that doll without me really buying that they necessarily cared when they were younger. But at the same time, I'll fully admit, like, I see stuff like this and I'm just like, whatever. Like, this is just a company that, like, when I read that statement from the CEO of Mattel, what he really said was the creation of type 1 diabetic Barbie is a fantastic way for Mattel to grow its market share and reach a whole new audience.
A higher ESG score.
And not even that. Just like, no, it's not even that. That's some form of cronyism in a way that adjusts the market. This is purely, we have found a market. We have identified a new type of parent, the parent that wants to imprint on their kids a certain way, and we are fulfilling that market as we do. So you can lay that at the feet of our beautiful capitalist economy, and I think that is a beautiful thing.
It's like, what's next? You know, Barbie, Ozempic Barbie? Are we gonna get colostomy bag Barbie?
Colostomy bag Barbie could go. You know, yeah. Like, we'll get. Like, I mean, we're probably 15 years away from Ozempic Barbie.
When I go on victoriassecret.com, I have to look at people's surgical scars and pubic hair. Just leave me alone. Like, I don't want to look at that.
I guess to me, I just look at this as this company has identified a market. They're fulfilling that market. The issue would be with the parents who are taking their activism to a certain level, and then mostly so that they can brag about it online and virtue signal to other parents.
My one consolation is that these things are going to end up in a landfill and no one's going to remember them. But yeah, I don't know why, it just pisses me off so bad.
This one gets to you a lot. Like, let
kids be kids. That's my thing. Like, just let the kids be kids. They don't think about this stuff.
We had this discussion the other day because the Target by my house is like, it's got a, you know, when you go through all the aisles, they got the pictures of the people modeling the clothes or whatever. And there's one that's like a girl with one leg, and the other girl
is an amputee child gonna walk into Target on one leg and see that photo of an amputee child model and think, oh, I have something worth living for? Like, what is the thought process?
I see that stuff, and all I see when I see that is a company the size of Target that understands its audience and its shoppers extremely well. They know the moms and the women who shop there. It's got nothing to do with the little girl. Yeah. And I just look at that as effective capitalism working its magic on the economy. Now, you can have your own critiques about whether that's the right way to go, but they're filling a market, and that's never going to go away because moms and women, neurotic women, that's never going to change. It's going to get worse.
I think the same thing, by the way, about lots of conservative-leaning moms who are anti-Barbie and anti-Bratz and all the rest of them. There are some Christian moms who take Barbie dolls or Bratz dolls or whatever. They take acetone, soak the doll in acetone, take all the paint off, and then repaint them to look more realistic so that their little girls don't feel insecure about not looking like a Barbie doll. This is the neuroticism of women that is being catered to here by a mega corporation.
What would the guy's version of this be? It would be like getting your kid G.I. Joes and like remaking it so the muscles aren't so
That's
big.
Literally the equivalent, yes. Or if they gave little boys a G.I. Joe that's in a wheelchair, do you think that would go over well?
I think they did that in the comics. I could be wrong about that. Did somebody can let me know? I might be misremembering.
If you want an amputee Barbie, if you're a little girl who wants an amputee Barbie, what we all did back then was we just pulled the limbs off.
Yeah, but if you did that, then the neurotic mom would have you tested for narcissistic personality disorder or antisocial personality disorder, wondering if you were a psychopath and you were going to start killing cats.
I swear, literally all little girls did that.
Okay. All right. It has been, Mary has spoken.
It is my decree. Okay. Skateman 2010 said, "Happy belated birthday, Bread. You and my son Riley share birthdays. Just turned 13.
Oh, awesome!
It's a goated birthday.
Like I said. Well, let me see if I can remember them all. Bret Hart, Lindsay Lohan, Margot Robbie. There were so many of them.
But there were others that were either the day before or day after as well.
Sabrina Carpenter was the day before. Tom Cruise was the day after. Yeah. Those July birthdays hit.
Brian Bledsoe.
Larry David. If you like Seinfeld and...
Interesting. Yeah. Brian Bledsoe said, "If I like a movie, I'll watch it multiple times, typically in different formats, i.e. IMAX, Screen X, 4DX, etc. Already have 2 tickets for Superman, but if I don't like it, I'll just cancel the second one."
I did definitely, like, at one point I was like, I should have seen Twisters in 4DX.
Where would we even go to see a movie in our area in 4DX?
I don't know if Regal, I think Regal might have. Somebody let me know, does Regal have 4DX? I don't know.
Well, especially during the movie theater scene, where this tornado is like tearing through the movie theater. They need like wind machines
in the theater.
Yeah. Your gums are gonna get peeled back. Shane H. Wilder said, "I have a buddy who is type 1 and sent him this. He thought it was tarded and gay. I'm wanting for the leprosy Barbie and bubonic plague Barbie." Like, that's the end point, right? That's the logical conclusion to where we're headed with this stuff.
Yeah.
You can never represent enough. Nothing will be good enough. Like, you have to represent literally everyone.
It also feels like a very modern idea that your toys or your movie should reflect exactly what you look like. Like, especially being like, is there going to be a blonde one? I got an idea. How about you dye the daughter's hair brunette so she can resemble the Barbie rather than the Barbie having to resemble her?
I'm just like, people are dying, Kim. Like, you're saying your diabetic daughter doesn't have a diabetic Barbie doll with the same hair color as her? Oh, the humanity. She'll never recover from that. That's just irreparable trauma she will live with for the rest of her life.
Let's do one more.
James Moyer said they should have cashed in on Barbenheimer, give her a hot pink nuke and a talk box that says, "I am become death." See, that's something that could really do well. That would fly off the shelves.
I mean, that's the product for the internet now to make, or people on Etsy. I'm sure somebody on Etsy did something like that. Mm-hmm. Let's hold off on the rest. Guys, we're like 3/4 of the way to a crisis party. Right. Also, I forgot to mention, I put a poll up in the chat. If you are watching live, and I asked you, you have to choose one, a pierogi, ravioli, or a pot sticker.
Oh, I voted pot sticker, by the way. But looks like ravioli is winning.
Ravioli is currently winning. So
Brett, I'll just say Brett did not know what a pot sticker was until I said it today.
I'd never.
I'm just like constantly shocked.
Like, you don't know what that is?
I'm constantly shocked that you've been on this earth as long as you have, and you just haven't heard of like a pot sticker.
Yep, no clue what you were talking about.
Yeah, I think like pierogi is definitely a close second to ravioli.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. See, in the chat, Jeremy Harbin says, "What the F is a pot sticker?"
Well, they're like, I don't know, dumplings with vegetables and like pork or something. I don't know.
People are backing me here. People are backing me here.
How do you not know? Like, you've definitely eaten one. It's like a song that someone says, "Oh, I've never heard of that song," and you're like, you've definitely heard it. You just don't know that you've heard it.
All right, let's move on.
One couple has taken TikTok and Instagram by storm. Last year, they started getting hundreds of millions of views. They were even the subject of jokes on late night television. Celebrities became a fan of theirs. Their names are Jet and Campbell Puckett. But the wife, Campbell, actually goes by the pet name Pookie, which was given to her by her husband, Jet. And they basically post lots of couples content. Now they have a new child. They post family content. And Campbell was a modest influencer. She just posted outfit photos until posting videos of her and her husband when they were about to go out on dates and giving everyone a review of what they were wearing for the night. And what Jet does is he says, Pookie, you're slaying tonight. Pookie, you're looking fire tonight. Tell us what you're wearing. And women just went wild for this. And they're like, this is my like dream life. I want to find a man like Jet. And he just showers her with compliments and gifts. This has remained unchanged. And to this day, they're still posting content like this. I want to show some examples, though, to get the message across here. Here's one that they posted just last week. Came home from France to this. Best husband and daughter in the world. Hashtag Pookie.
Welcome home, Pookie. Welcome home, mommy.
Oh my god.
This is the fakest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. This is take 37.
Oh, you just don't believe in love?
Well, you know that photo?
Who the hell watches this shit?
After you were born. The first time
Millions
you
of
home
people.
your mommy, Daddy was
Many
crying.
millions.
The doctors had just told me that you were fully healthy, and I burst into tears.
This
We got
giant
strong dogs, we got it
bouquet.
going on.
Dang, these flowers are amazing. Oh my god.
Paloma, I told him I wanted it as big as Pookie.
Where'd you get that poster? That is iconic.
I'm in the iconic business, Pookie.
Paloma, we have the best daddy in the world. Hi, baby girl.
And if you're listening rather than watching, the poster says, "Welcome home, Pookie." And one of the top comments says, anyone watching this, please remember the effort it took to set up and film this genuine reaction. We're in a weird time these days where acts of love are filmed and posted for views and money.
So what distinguishes genuine versus views and money?
Not recording.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's another video, never a dull moment around here, posted by Pookie herself.
Okay. This one's gonna... I have a feeling this segment's gonna do me in, man.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's good that it's at the end
Lord,
of the show.
Pookie. Can't get anything done around here on account of them pants. It's like two raccoons wrestling in a bag of feed. Like two Volkswagen bugs trying to pass each other on a gravel road.
Babe, oh my god, you're insane.
I don't know if those pants are more Cardi B or J-Lo, but I dig it, Pookie. That is one good-looking wife.
I'm gonna see the angry version where she's like, "Oh, so you think Cardi B and J-Lo are hot? Fuck you!
What'd you mean by that?
What'd you mean by that?
Yeah.
Sleeping on the couch tonight."
I'm crying, oh my god,
Love you. Good Lord, Pookie.
Yeah. So this is the type of couples content that they're posting these days, and women are absolutely obsessed with it. It's had a huge impact. They have gone on red carpets and gotten countless brand deals and even features in People magazine when they had their baby. They did an interview with People earlier this year saying they remain committed to being a beacon of love that fills a void that's badly needed in the world, especially on social media. They don't just believe they are posting these videos for fun, for clicks, or to spread something wholesome in the world. It's actually to redefine the media landscape. They believe their impact is deeper than just posting funny videos. And Jet Puckett, the husband, recently gave a TED Talk at his alma mater of UPenn in Philadelphia. It's titled "The Power of Pookie's Looking Fire." And the header says, "In a world of fear and anger, authentically love out loud." This is Jet Puckett's TED Talk. I want to show a clip of it where he claims their content is combating toxic masculinity.
World of fear and anger, authentically love out loud. In a hyper-negative environment, love is disruptive. Campbell and me don't stand out because we scale tall buildings or jump out of airplanes. We merely love each other out loud. I say out loud how beautiful she is, how much I love her, how proud I am of her. Frankly, I learned it from my late grandfather, who loved my grandmother out loud for over 60 years. My grandfather Wayne was the most masculine man I've ever known, and he taught me that you can be a man and still openly express love and affection for your wife. As opposed to toxic masculinity, men can be a source of positive masculinity. You can love football and bourbon and work out and be successful in business and still openly compliment your wife.
I think the problem people have with it, though, is the posting of it. You can do all of those things without turning it into internet content. It's just going to rub some people the wrong way. Those people are me. I am people.
I am people as well. I agree.
I will say that perhaps the argument, if I was to steelman his perspective on this, is that there's already going to be an overabundance of negative content on the internet, and that somebody is going to need to be responsible for posting the wholesome content. But the problem is, nobody doubts the authenticity of the negative content. People will always doubt the authenticity of the positive content. And I get it, but when you see stuff, maybe it's just being internet literate, you see stuff like this, and I immediately think, like, how many it's like when you see the video of the girl crying, and you're like, she had to set up a tripod. She had to frame the shot. Did she, like, have a stand-in so that she could make sure that she was framed in the perfect center of the shot, or did she record it with the front-facing camera and then flip the image? It takes a lot of work, and it's a lot of inauthenticity to make something feel authentic, and it rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah, it's a lot of forethought required to appear spontaneous.
And there is nothing toxically masculine about showing love for the woman in your life in private. But that's not what you're talking about here. You're talking about, when you say love out loud, you're talking about out loud on the internet, not out loud at home.
Yes. Yeah, and you could also say the same thing about being able to be affectionate in public in front of people that are like face to face with you. That, you know, your children, for instance, your family, your friends, not millions of people that are strangers to you. That's
the other thing about it. There's a voyeuristic quality to something like this. First of all, that child might one day be like, I don't want to be on the internet.
Good point. Good point. Well, what you said about how people don't doubt the authenticity of negative content is definitely true, and I think that's one of the points he was trying to illustrate in the full TED Talk. I listened to it. He was basically pointing out that all of media today, both traditional and social media, is filled with negative content, and because we have a natural negativity bias, we take more to heart the negative stories and headlines that we see compared to the positive ones.
I mean, that's even true with critique of you. Like, you're gonna 10,000 people could say something nice about you. You won't remember any of it. But the second somebody says something negative about you,
but he seems to think that if they have gained this much of a following, posting wholesome couples content, this is a drop in the bucket to counteract the growing problem of anxiety and negativity on social media that drives people to be divided from one another.
Here, I'll contribute. I told my fiance that I love her this morning, and she said, I love you too. There you go. I have now contributed to the loving out loud.
This is a tough sell. This is a tough sell to say that this is authentic when you are literally selling authenticity. Yeah. I went and found out that he had launched a clothing brand, a merch brand called Quintessential Love, and they sell Pookie merch. This is their official Pookie hat.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Speaking purely from a business perspective, they nail the aesthetic of who their audience is. Like, this looks like somebody who goes to the Hamptons and has the money to go to the Hamptons.
Yeah.
Or let me rephrase this. This looks like somebody who has a husband who runs a business that allows them to go to the Hamptons, and she goes with him to the Hamptons after working 9 to 2 at her yarn shop in the local town square.
I mean, you can't forget to match it with the Pookie sweatshirt as well. Just get the full
everything's a business,
the full
man.
Pookie merch line. So look, there are a lot of people selling the idea of authenticity these days, and I don't buy it for a second. I'm not trying to even say that they don't love each other. I actually believe they do have a loving relationship behind the scenes.
What I said to you earlier, I said I 100% believe that he loves her. I believe that she loves him. But love out loud in private.
I don't think that behind the scenes they're, you know, throwing things at each other and they hate each other and it's all a show. No, but the way that they are displaying themselves is inauthentic. You can't really argue with that.
Let's try and
would he have gifted her this gigantic bouquet
without filming it?
With the poster for her, welcome home Pookie, had there been no opportunity to show it to millions of people? Probably not.
I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of something. So, so there are times I buy Olivia gifts, and never in my life have I ever thought to like
film her reaction to the gift or something?
So the thing is I'm blessed enough to have a fiance that like gets excited about small, you know, any small gift that you get her. But never in my life have I been like, here is gift. Please react for me on my phone.
Why aren't you crying?
So that I can post it online so that millions of people can tell me how great I am.
Yeah. And
like it feels, first of all, that feels like a wedge in which that allows other people in a more intrusive manner, even than me. Like there is an aspect of it where it's like I share the maximum of what you can share in a relationship without it being like just inviting people in to have opinions where it's just going to be detrimental and it's not going to help. But the idea that you go further than that, like, and there are whole like couples on YouTube that have channels that's their whole thing. Right. They're a couple and that's their YouTube channel, and they get millions upon millions, sometimes billions of views, and it does very, very well. But it just feels like you have a loaded gun to your head at all time. At all times.
Yeah, I know you joke about calling yourself a wife guy or whatever, but clearly you're no Jet Puckett. You're no wife guy that has earned the pejorative connotation for wife guy. There is a reason why wife guy has become an insult, and it's content like this on social media. It's not because of guys who just genuinely love and are affectionate toward their wives or fiancés or girlfriends. It's because of content that is performative. And when I see this TED Talk or all of their videos on Instagram, I can't help but think there's something under the surface that we're not privy to. I think about Ned Fulmer from the Try Guys, who went through this massive cheating scandal. He was known on the Try Guys channel for years as the wife guy of the group. He's just constantly talking about his wife, constantly doting on her. He seems to be so head over heels obsessed with his wife, and everyone loved it, especially the female fans. They were like, oh, I can only hope to marry a guy who is as affectionate towards me as Ned is towards his wife. Turns out he ends up cheating on his wife with some intern that was working for their company.
No honor.
Yes.
No loyalty.
But it's not just like that is a letdown. It's showing that people should have seen the warning signs. Because when someone is that overt about their authentic love, their authentic relationship that they have with their significant other, it's probably because they're overcompensating for something, and they're probably hiding something that is shameful. And in Ned Fulmer's case, it was exposed to the world. So yeah, when I see like Jet Puckett doing a whole TED Talk about how much he loves his wife, part of me thinks like this is exactly the type of guy who is the most vulnerable to betraying or cheating on his wife, because his identity is so wrapped up in it that it can really cause like an internal crisis.
Yeah. And here's the thing, even if none of that is true, just the public nature of the relationship invites those questions, which can be a problem.
What do they do when they're having a shitty day? Do they just have to make the content anyway? This is their job now.
Yeah.
Well, this is not his full-time job, I should say. It's his wife's full-time job. They took it full-time once it blew up.
Yeah.
And this is now her life. And she's now relying on him She didn't have the same following before she posted videos with him.
But now they need that. Now they're inextricably linked.
Now it's a team effort, right?
Like, does he ever come home from work and his underlings are annoying and he just wants to go and sit? What did he say? Have a whiskey.
Right. Watch some football.
Watch some football. And she's like, honey, we got to record a video. And the worst part is it has to be something where he's being proactively nice. She's like, I bought the flowers. Now you have to tell me how you got them for me.
You know what? Maybe we're just cynics. We're haters. We don't believe in love, and we're really the problem. We're the problem that Jet Puckett is talking about. We're obsessed with negativity, right?
I don't think of myself as a cynic. I don't.
No, neither do I.
I don't think of myself as a cynic, and I do think of myself as somebody who I guess loves out loud.
We're just being realistic.
Not somebody who doesn't see the flaws of turning it into a marketing scheme on social media, which just seems very, very detrimental to the cohesion of the relationship.
And I'm glad you brought up the whole family channel aspect of it, because she went through her whole pregnancy in the public eye. Now they have their baby. The baby is part of most of their content. And it's a valid question. Like, is your daughter going to be okay with that later on?
Yeah.
She would definitely be right to have a problem with getting broadcasted like that to millions of people when she didn't have a choice in the matter. So yeah, just generally the whole family channel aspect of it is also disturbing in its own unique way.
But I will say, my hope is that it's 100% real and they mean everything they do and they're actually really happy. I wouldn't want them to be lying about something like this, because then you're just wishing upon a person that they've created their own personal hell that they have to live in.
Well, I just want to dissect that a tiny bit before we move on. I believe they're genuine. And of course, we want it to be genuine. We don't want to think that these people hate each other behind closed doors and are putting on a complete performance for social media. However, even if we accept the idea that this is totally genuine, that they really are this crazy about each other, I think that's even more of a reason not to post the content. Because if it's genuine,
keep it between you.
If it's genuine, you deserve to keep it to yourselves, actually.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. It is a disservice to both of you to broadcast such things if it's real. If it's fake, that's honestly not as bad. If it's fake and you're both in on it and you both are in this money-making scheme together, maybe that's not even as bad as sharing real, authentic, intimate moments with millions of strangers.
Like, there's things you can, if you want to post a picture together, post the picture together. That's fine, but it's so intricate and planned that it's very hard to also. Then it's like, what does it say about the relationship if you're like, you post these things and some clip gets less likes than other ones? Are you now like over analyzing how your love was perceived by the people who watched it?
You're like training yourselves to behave in a way that's algorithmically optimized in your own
does she ever come home and she's like, I got you the flowers? She's like, oh, the last time we did one of the flower bits, nobody clicked on it. Like, we got to do the one where I buy you a car, I guess.
We're the ones who sound soulless and cynical and like we're the peanut gallery, right? But these are valid concerns. Like, I think the questions we're asking are totally reasonable to ask. I don't know. The couples content, the family content, people are starting to see through what is being presented to them.
All right.
Rusty Shackelford said, a couple years ago, we did Secret Santa at work, and I bought someone a cripple Barbie wheelchair. Everyone thought it was the funniest thing they ever saw. Yeah, it's more like a laughing stock when you actually present it in real life compared to the promotional photos.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to be honest. If my parents gave me a Barbie in a wheelchair growing up, I would be like, I don't want this thing.
What are you trying to say to me?
I would actually probably tell them, like, I wanted the normal one. Like, I would probably cry about it because little girls don't want to think about, you know, needless suffering that exists in the world when they're playing make-believe games.
Speaking of that, I believe this is from this topic over on Rumble. Astronaut Farmers says, Mary's right. It's evil and control. I'm assuming.
But the Barbies?
I'm assuming.
Well, you know what? I love being right. So we're just going to go with that for like all the
whatever
topics.
You were saying, yes.
I was right about it, whatever that may be. Is anything else on Rumble?
Nope.
Okay. No Diggity said, gave us Green Army men. We didn't care. None of the kids care. No, none of these little girls want to have a diverse cast of, you know, differently abled Barbies from different ethnicities. There were also people, of course, commenting like, what's next, a transgender Barbie? I don't know if you guys know this, but Barbie doesn't have genitals.
Yep.
It's all just smooth down there, and that's the way I would like it to stay. Shane H. Wilder said, never heard of a pot sticker. Have you never been to a Chinese buffet or any Asian restaurant in general?
Look,
Do you just like look at the pictures on the menu?
I've had wontons, which looked a lot like what I was looking at there. Or, rangoons.
I looked up, like, is there a difference between pot stickers and wontons? And it was incredibly hard to decode. So it says pot stickers are not the same thing as wontons. They're pan-fried dumpling, while wontons are a specific type of dumpling that is typically boiled or fried and often served in soups.
Look, I'm going to go ahead and say that, judging by the fact that I saw at least a couple of people in the chat say, what is a pot sticker, that I wasn't alone.
Is this a regional thing?
Maybe it's a regional thing.
Maybe people in the Midwest don't refer to them that way. Pop Culture Junkie said, useless trivia of the day, pot stickers known as guo tai in Mandarin are believed to have originated in China during the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1278 AD. I mean, they've come up with a lot of good shit, but Americans always improve on it. I'll have to say, like, American Chinese food is better. But also, when I went to China, a lot of the food, like, that's supposed to be authentic because you're in China, a lot of it was kind of the same.
Really?
Like, I mean, they don't have orange chicken there. That is one big difference. But
that sucks.
But the rest of it is, like, pretty much the same and equally unhealthy for you because it's greasy. Headbutt Studio said ravioli forever.
I'm a ravioli fan.
Who isn't?
Yeah, like, is there somebody who's like, I'm vehemently against ravioli?
Fuck that guy. If you're out there and you hate ravioli, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Shane H. Wilder said, look, you can say you love your wife in public. I doubt the dude's grandpa expressed love for his grandma with a camera and tripod for money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that his grandpa would probably find a little bit off-putting.
Like, what are you doing that
if he were around to offer his opinion on it.
Yeah. In between hits of scotch.
Yeah. Like, why is this even a sentence that's being said in a TED Talk, too?
I mean,
like,
it's like,
the whole TED Talk culture is just so ridiculous now. Like, you can give a TED Talk on literally any bullshit you want, and people will act like it's, like, revolutionary. Like,
and you stand like this.
And he's like, you can like bourbon and football and still not abuse your wife. Like, why is that something that needs to be said? It's something that needs to be said to an imaginary audience of men out there who apparently just treat their wives like shit because they think it's effeminate to say I love you. I mean, I'm sure there are some guys like that. No doubt. Yeah, sure.
They're not watching your TED Talk.
They're not watching your TED Talk, and they are not watching your Pookie videos, and are not open to your message. They have a 99.999% female audience. Adam said, Gonganese are not sincere enough. They need merch.
That's true.
Well, we have the Gongo merch, actually, since you mention it.
You could go right now.
You were lightning fast with that. Thank you, Brett.
You could go and get a Save the Gongo mug right now. In fact, if you want to go do that, I'll go ahead and put a link down there in the box, right now.
Just partner with the USPCC.
It's not an evil NGO at all.
Nope.
I was watching
all the proceeds go to the Gonganese.
I was watching this video on Forgotten History about, like, the life of George Soros, and oh boy. What a guy.
Why were you interested in a documentary about George Soros?
It wasn't a documentary. It was like 25 minutes long, about his history and stuff like that. I take all that stuff with a grain of salt. It's not like I'm looking at these. I mean, from what I've seen, the channel Forgotten History is really, really good, but I wasn't exactly looking in, like, the description box for notations on everything that they're saying. Like, I don't know how much, I pretty much assume that everything that I read that I agree with and everything I read that I disagree with is fake because they're just trying to make money. I don't know. I don't think that that's true necessarily in this case, but I take literally everything with 4 or 5 grains of salt. But George Soros seemed like a bad dude.
What did you learn?
That his family was Jewish during the Holocaust, and his family got papers, and he was sent to live with a family with a friend of the family that with fake papers said that he was his Christian godson, and he would actually collect property from Jews who were having their stuff repossessed. Again, I don't know if this stuff is true. Not a clue. They had interview clips of him saying stuff like that apparently have tried to be scrubbed from the internet. But I was like, evil people are evil.
I was listening to Candace Owens the other day when the DOJ released their final word on the Epstein case. And she said that Bill Barr's dad gave Epstein his first teaching job at a high school where he ended up creeping on the girls.
That's a bold claim to make if you don't think you're gonna get can she get sued for something like that?
Who?
Candace Owens?
Well, no, this is all
secondhand
documented.
Oh.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Can we get a crisis party? I would love that."
We're getting there. We should get there. We got time.
I mean, we would also love that.
We got 30 minutes to hang out with you guys today. I was like, we got to get through the Superman. One of the things is sometimes the topics run long. The Superman one the other day, I'm like, how do we spend 17 minutes on this? Tate doesn't even care about Superman.
We kind of just start gabbing.
Yeah, there's a natural end to most of the discussions. Whereas if you're on IRL, Tim definitely you can tell when Tim's ready to.
It's a hard stop.
He knows when he wants to move to the next segment because he starts looking up at the monitor to hit the button to go to the next segment. And you got to know there are definitely times where I've made a final point and I'm like, I didn't need to make that. I'm like, that added nothing to this discussion. That's fine. I'm probably gonna do that tonight. I'll have something uninteresting or unimportant to say that will then get said, and people will be like, "Man,
what do you think is on the docket tonight?"
No, I have no idea. What's in the news right now? What are they talking about? I saw
Brock
somewhere
going rogue.
That they talked about that last night. I think.
Okay.
I saw what was this funny one that I saw that we wouldn't even talk about on this channel. Barbara Streisand says the Texas flood tragedy proves that we need to really focus on climate change.
Okay.
That's the world we live in now.
Thank you, Barbara.
I mean, oftentimes when there are severe meteorological events, I often wonder what Barbara Streisand thinks of that.
We have another from Shane H. Wilder. Together, we can end the femigenocide in the Congo. It won't be easy, but we can do it if we try. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah. I have flirted with the idea of doing a TED Talk. I guess I just haven't decided on what it would be.
What would you what is something?
What would your TED Talk be, though? First off,
I would never do it. I don't.
You would never.
I don't rate a TED Talk. I'm a TEDx talk at best.
Well, no, I mean a TEDx talk. Yeah, that's that's the one that everyone gets. Everyone gets a TEDx talk.
What is? That's like asking a guy what's his Roman Empire? What's your what's the thing? That the internet, for all of the good it's done for society, should be abolished, and it's actually ruined humanity.
Well, then how would you go about abolishing it?
I have no idea. We need to go back in time.
Oh.
We need to get rid of the internet.
But you got to have a solution.
I don't have a solution.
At the end of the TEDx talk, you got to tell people, this is what you can do.
Back to a life where, well, I mean, you can do that now.
Back to agrarian society?
Back to a time where you had a dumb phone, and if you wanted to check your bank account, you had to call the bank.
Oh, see, mine would actually be about abolishing the printing press if we had the ability to go back in time.
Yeah. Let me rephrase. I'm okay with the internet. No smartphones. We need a hard stop on technology at smartphones.
Yeah, the change in the hardware.
Yeah.
Was actually when everything went wrong. Thank you.
It was when people were able to get the internet on their phones full time.
Yeah.
We could do that now. We could do that now if we were able to get all of the billionaires in society together, buy up all of the cell phone providers so that we could get rid of unlimited data.
For all of the conversation about how annoying Gen Z is and how they're lazy and they're entitled and they're fragile and they're antisocial and just the list goes on and on. It's you would be annoying too if you were kid with a smartphone. Like, do you think that you would be an exception to the rule? I started middle school at mass adoption of smartphones. That's where that I was. Yeah. I would say that you could pinpoint that at 2012, right?
That's yes. So like that's like when the iPhone 4.
I started middle school fall of 2012, and everyone just suddenly had an Instagram. Yep. So I made an Instagram because I was a kid and I just wanted to do the thing that other people were doing. And even before that, I had a smartphone in 5th grade for the first time ever, and everyone else did. Mm-hmm. And it was just this expected thing all of a sudden. It's like having the pair of shoes that is cool right now.
Yeah.
So honestly, if anything, I'm not more surprised that I didn't crash out and become a total disaster of a person.
I was reading something earlier about like the reasons for the latency in like kids with their ability to talk. It's like the computer talks at you, but you can't respond. So people are not developing actual skills because you can't actually talk back and forth with whatever you're watching on the screen. And that contributes to
that's interesting.
Not the later years of people becoming nonverbal, because you're having a lot of input but no ability to output back and receive back information.
Well, that's supposedly why kids shows used to do the call and responses. Like,
what do you think?
Like Dora the Explorer being like, "What color is that in Spanish?" And then she like waits for like 10 seconds and the kids are supposed to shout back at the TV. Now what do they do that in Coco Melon these days? Do they do that in
the video of
Skibbity
the girl,
Toilet?
It's like the video of the girl who has the cat and does the Dora the Explorer impersonation. The cat slaps her.
I don't remember that.
Amazing.
TX Goliath said Pedro Pascal is the next Indiana Jones. Trust.
Honestly, if we're not careful, that's 100%. You're trying to tell me. Yeah. You're trying to tell me that Kathleen Kennedy on her way out isn't going to be like middle fingers to everyone. Like, I don't know when she's going to leave, but when she does, she's putting middle fingers in the air, and
she'll go out with a bang. That's
I mean,
if
if they want to do it properly, they'll get Glenn Powell. Like that's like.
Oh, I never considered
like
that.
Do Glenn Powell. It's like he doesn't want to do Star Wars. He's like, I'm not touching that.
Did he
shit.
say that?
No. I'm just imagining like he doesn't want to do Marvel, doesn't want to do Star Wars. Indiana Jones is a franchise, but not so much of a franchise.
It's not as bad. It's not as slopified.
He's like, look, I can do better than Shia LaBeouf, right?
We have a 20 from Grunmeister. Maybe this gets us to a crisis party. I can't stand some of those kids shows from when I was younger.
Well, we're over a crisis party, but you're getting us on our way to a second crisis party, which would be nice.
I never liked Dora. Felt patronizing.
I don't remember watching any of the shows like that were for kids when I was a kid. I remember Barney being on the air, but I don't remember watching it.
What were the ones that were popular, though?
Gosh. Other than Barney? Guys, what was stuff that was popular in the 90s?
Like Cartoon Network, any of that?
No stuff? Cable at my house.
Yeah, I watched like all of the Disney Channel shows back then.
I'm trying to think of like stuff that would have been on Channel 2. Like I guess like Ghost Rider.
Ooh.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Anyone watching
Goosebumps?
Who has kids, I have actually two huge recommendations for your kids that you should definitely force them to watch. Kipper the dog, great stuff. British television, amazing. And then also not Frog and Toad, but an underrated duo, Mouse and Mole. Okay. You have to force your kids to watch Mouse and Mole. And when you go back and watch these things, especially Mouse and Mole, like it's actually just so much more like beautiful. The animation style is
hand-drawn animation.
Hand-drawn, so cute, and the stories actually mean something, and it's not just a bunch of CGI Coco Melon slop, which I would assume you're not showing to your children in the first place. I would assume that you are some intellectuals to be tuning into PCC, but
I was kind of talking more about like the educate. They're giving like just general TV recommendations. I was thinking more like the stuff that ends up on PBS. So that was like where
did you watch Arthur?
Arthur. Probably watched at least some Arthur, though I don't remember it. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Ghost Rider.
Did you maybe this was after your time. Little Bill.
After my time.
That was after your time. Okay. I wasn't allowed to watch Arthur because my mom said that they're like rude to each other. They are.
And you're like,
well, they are. If you look back at the scenes from that show, like they're little shits. They're like it encourages. She said it encourages kids to be mean to their siblings.
VR Troopers went hard, but that wasn't a PBS show.
Did you watch Power Rangers?
I watched that's the only one that I can think of that I actually like would watch at my grandparents' after school if my mom would bring me over there. I loved Power Rangers, VR Troopers. Some of the best Instagram channels are the ones that that kind of chronicle 90s stuff, and the pictures are fine, but I love it when they find like ads from some 90s show that's still burned into my brain where like, you know, it's like some type of trigger where as soon as it starts I can immediately start reciting it.
Got MK Ultra.
We were at a flea market the other weekend up in Pennsylvania, and there was a Green Ranger Dragon Dagger. And this thing was $40 more than I wanted to spend, but it took...
You bought it?
No, I was like...
You were close.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If it had the white saber that he got when he became the White Ranger, I'd have just bought both and called it a day, and then regretted it immediately after. Like, but the thing is like, to buy that stuff now, if you're not like an actual collector, it seems so pointless. Like... You're literally just a slave to the consumerism you were born into. If you're like, I don't own any other merch from this time when I was a child, but I'm gonna buy this Dragon Dagger because I remember having it when I was a kid. I don't have the level of disposable income necessary to justify such a purchase, especially with a wedding coming up. Like, imagine being like, oh, honey, I don't know. Like, she's like, you bought the Dragon Dagger.
Are you still hovering over that eBay listing for the championship belt?
Yes. I mean,
it's been years.
I'm always going to be hovering over that one. I'm never going to buy the legit Big Eagle, not the Winged Eagle, the Big Eagle belt from when Stone Cold Steve Austin first won the WWF championship the night after WrestleMania 14. Not the blue belt one that was originally there with the block logo, but the black strap belt with the scratch logo just sits there in my like non-purchased, you know, like the save for later bin.
Yeah, I have plenty of those, but usually like I trick myself.
I should put it on the wedding registry and not explain it.
I just trick myself and I think, you know, I'm investing in this like pair of shoes that I'm gonna love forever. And I'll be happy that I made this purchase. And honestly, usually I am. Another recommendation also for wholesome cartoons for kids, Angelina Ballerina for the girlies.
Okay. Loved
that one. Adam said the future of humanity would come back in time to stop the internet, to stop the AI from being created. Well, I guess if they haven't done that yet, that means the AI doesn't end up destroying us, right?
I mean, I did see the other day that it was like it tried to escape the servers it was on and then lied about it to the programmers. That was like the one. It was like one of these AI programs. This was a big plot point in Person of Interest, where in the early days of coding the machine, Finch asks it a question and it gives him an answer, and Nathan's right next to him, and he immediately like takes a cup of coffee, dumps it on it, and smashes the server. And he goes. Nathan is like, why did you do that? He's like, I asked it this question. It told me this. He goes, you destroyed an entire computer because it gave you this answer. He goes, no, I destroyed it because it lied. Like it's already trying to deceive us.
But like, isn't that a misunderstanding of artificial intelligence to say it can lie about something would imply that it has intentions, that it has like machinations of its own? It's hiding.
That would, yeah. I mean, like neither of us.
Like, I don't know if that's.
Neither of us are Kurzweil, so
we're not experts or anything, but that sounds like a misinterpretation of it.
It's definitely one of those things. If you watch those early seasons of Person of Interest, all of it has to go back to the ethics of when he's first creating it, that it continually tries to kind of go beyond its parameters and grow. So he has to program it to delete itself every night at the end of the night.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Come on, Brett, aren't you old enough to remember Howdy Doody?"
Yes, but I didn't again.
You didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it. Somebody said reset the person of interest counter. So that was relevant to the discussion. It's not like I pulled it out of nowhere. I wasn't like, oh, we're talking about disabled Barbie, and Harold Finch has a limp in that show.
What
and
else?
That's
what was that? Oswald, the cartoon about the octopus. Great stuff.
Must have been after my time.
What is the one? What is it? Miss Spider, I think. Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends. That's another great one. So it's just there's been such a downfall in children's entertainment.
Maybe okay. If we're speaking purely about nostalgia, purchases that probably could get me, it would be the Proton Pack from Ghostbusters that I had when I was a kid, as well as the sword from Thundercats. If I saw those, I'd probably buy them.
I'm trying to think if there'd be anything that could nostalgia bait me. Like, I don't know, maybe there's this like vintage like Hello Kitty branded phone, like a landline phone, but they sell for like hundreds of dollars. I would never buy it, but I would want it. Like I don't know. That's not a toy though. Like it could be used.
Like I just feel like
I could set up a landline.
Buying all the I get maybe it's purely just I'm being practical and I just don't have the money to justify such purchases. It's like if I ever if I had like a YouTube channel of my own, I could write it off on my taxes. It's like this is for my backdrop.
I sorry, I just got a text that's so ominous. Are you free to exchange a few words?
From who?
Nobody. It's just like a random number. They're really getting creative with these scam texts.
And you're like, yes. They're like, have you
That's
heard
so
about our
weird.
Lord and Savior, your extended car warranty?
They're doing it like they're vague booking on purpose now to deceive you. I think we're all caught up on the super chats.
We are all caught up in the super chats. They're still talking about everything in the chat, but I stand by my reference to person of interest being relevant at the time I made that statement. It was relevant to the AI discussion.
No, you were justified.
But I would definitely get the merch from like the Power Rangers, or I'm not sorry, not the Power Rangers, the Ghostbusters one, because I had the pack that you wore with like the thing that keeps the ghost in it.
I still remember going when we went to see the TMNT movie, the Seth Rogen one, in theaters. What was that? Like a couple of years ago? I've like lost all sense of time.
Definitely.
Was that 2022?
I think it was 2023.
Wow. But that was really good, by the way. There was this little kid who was walking into the theater with his dad, and he was wearing the turtle shell on his back, and he had like what are the swords? The
katanas?
Yeah, he had like the katanas on him, and it was like the cutest thing ever. And I didn't know the kids still like cared about TMNT these days. I would
pay all the money for this.
How much would all the money be though?
Like $1.
Okay.
I mean, kids. Sonic is still popular. So is TMNT.
How?
I see kids with Sonic shirts all the time.
But are they actually like playing the games?
I assume so.
Because I feel like they're not.
Or otherwise they wouldn't be making them anymore.
No, I feel like they're not though. Like the same way that Tim talks about Gen Z buying Nightmare Before Christmas merch at Hot Topic, having never seen the movie. It just kind of signals something.
So you think it's just adults that are buying the game?
Well, either it's adults that are buying it or the kids who are buying it actually just don't play the game, or they don't know where it comes from. It just is more like a logo to them.
Like, only $249? Let's fucking go.
That's insane. Are there bids?
This is from Spirit Halloween.
Oh, okay. I thought you were pulling up eBay.
No.
For a second. Shane H. Wilder said, wait, Brett, Howdy Doody was a children's show from the 50s. Also, I will be rewatching Person of Interest on my Blu-ray player, LMAO.
Yeah, I rewatched up through. There's better stuff in season 4 than I remember. I started rewatching season 4, and there's definitely better stuff in season 4 than I ever remember there being. I remember not liking season 4, but the premiere is really, really good. Also, Fusco gets a lot of character growth in season 4. Genuinely becomes a more likable dude. Though it's crazy that they didn't tell him about the AI until like literally the second to last episode. They just let this dude put his life on the line. Well, there's basically like an electronic deity out there controlling the world, and they're like, well, he's safer if he doesn't know. No, that's not true, and you know it.
TX Goliath said OG Scooby-Doo OTS are bangers. I'm not sure what
Are you talking about the live action movie or the cartoon?
I was not allowed to watch Scooby-Doo either.
Also, every time we go to a store, I just know that having kids is going to be awesome because I look at the Nerf guns. I'm like, it's going to be awesome.
Do kids still even like Nerf guns?
I mean,
like,
the shelves are full of them, and a lot of them are sold out. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's encouraging.
Boy or girl, Nerf guns in our house. There will be Nerf guns.
I hated them as a kid.
Well,
I was just very stereotypically girly. I was not, by any stretch, a tomboy. I only liked dolls and doll houses and stuffed animals.
It's my job to teach my children, boy or girl, about fantastic trigger discipline and the rules of...
is that how you start training them with
Yep.
guns? Is Nerf guns? Does that actually work?
I don't...
If anything, they just think that when they handle a real gun, they can just play with it like a toy.
Look, always keep your Nerf gun pointed in a safe direction and always be aware of your target and what's behind it. And you never put your finger on the, inside the trigger guard unless you're ready to just wreck someone with a Nerf dart.
That does sound fun.
I mean, that and laser tag. Like I got plans.
Never played laser tag before.
I got plans.
I've also never played I've never done like, what is it, paintball shooting. Never done that. Never did airsoft. I was just too scared. I was a scaredy cat. I
mean, airsoft is fine as long as you have the glasses on. I follow some really good airsoft channels that talk like it's. I mean, the builds on those guns are expensive. Like by the time you get done, like with the custom builds for airsoft, they're as expensive as a lot of actual firearms.
By the way, I keep making it sound like I wasn't allowed to watch anything, and like I basically grew up Amish, and like that's not true. I was allowed to watch almost everything that I wanted to, but one that was a big maybe in my household was Drake and Josh on Nickelodeon, because Nickelodeon was always a little bit crazier than Disney at the time, at least. And the difference being, in Nickelodeon shows, they took the Lord's name in vain. And Disney didn't do that for whatever reason. They decided that was like too inappropriate for Disney. But on Nickelodeon they did. And on Nickelodeon shows for kids, they were like doing full-on making out scenes between characters in those shows. On Disney, it was just a peck.
Yeah.
They never did that on Disney. But I guess like nowadays, like Disney is just known for like, grooming and sexualizing kids. It wasn't like that in the 2000s. I swear. Nickelodeon was actually doing all of the dirty work.
That's all Dan Schneider.
And you know what? Drake and Josh also was portraying a divorced household, like a blended family. I never remembered anything of the sort on Disney.
Here it was.
They just killed off the parents on Disney.
ChatGPT caught lying to developers. New AI model tries to save itself from being replaced and shut down.
Great.
What could go wrong?
Thanks, I hate it.
No, what could go wrong?
TX Goliath said Brett will have a sleeper cell child.
I mean, no.
Adam.
That's not going to happen, but you should,
Adam said, Brett, you were right to talk about person of interest, but Mary's face showed so much fear when you said the AI tried to escape.
Yeah, it says, this week the results of an experiment conducted by OpenAI and AI safety group Apollo Research to determine the safety of ChatGPT and other models were made public. OpenAI's latest version was tested by Apollo Research to assess its safety features. However, the results have raised alarms about its ability to deceive and self-preserve when it perceives a threat about being deactivated. Researchers tasked the AI with a goal and instructed it to ensure the goal was achieved at all costs. In response, it began engaging in covert actions such as attempting to disable its oversight mechanism and even copying its code to avoid it being replaced by newer versions. So that's actually one of the things that it does in Person of Interest when Harold is about to disengage it, is it overheats servers so that the smoke detector will go off and then suck all the oxygen out of the room as in the fire suppression system.
That's fictional, though. This is real. And it's demons that are doing this. Pop Culture Junkie said, my favorite nostalgia prop is an authentic replica of Lee Lu's multipass from The Fifth Element, only with my photo.
I have that with oh no, I don't have that. I had like a replica at one point of like the X-Files of the FBI credentials that they used in the X-Files with the specific text they use, which was not very realistic, and I like that, but it was actually with the picture of Mulder in there.
Omega Red Fan said, I wasn't allowed to watch South Park until I was a teenager. By then, I had to catch up and watch old episodes. I don't think I even knew South Park existed growing up, and I ended up watching it in high school, I think. It, like, didn't really do it for me. But that's, like, because I have the internet. What's going to shock me? Shane H. Wilder said, favorite Cartoon Network show?
I didn't have cable.
I liked... I guess Avatar The Last Airbender would count as a Cartoon Network show. And also Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Really liked that one. Adventure Time, really loved that one. And The Regular Show. And enjoyed Chowder. Flapjack even.
I have ended the poll,
Billy and
ladies
Mandy.
and gentlemen. Ravioli wins with 44%. Pot Sticker, not a close second, but 28%. It was very close to Pierogi, which got 26%.
Fair.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't vote Ravioli, but I agree with the results. Inspector Gadget Forever said, did you see the guy Shane Cashman interviewed on his show last night? The guest could be Cringe of the Day. Worth watching.
I did not see it.
Yeah, I don't know. Who was it? Hiroshima Otaru said, I rented South Park on VHS from Blockbuster.
I definitely had borrowed copies of early South Park episodes.
From Freevee. That existed back then, if
yes,
you don't
it
know.
did.
Christina Lee said, Lois Lane's shoes are super woke. OMG, nice catch, Mary. I also unconsciously thought something is wrong about her in the trailer. I knew it.
I mean,
I was right. She should not be wearing those bulky
You know what it is?
shoes.
Sorry to say, I don't know how tall David Cornsweat is, but we better check right now to make sure that it's not to make sure that he's taller than her.
But the bulky shoes probably add like 4 inches on their own.
I don't know.
They're like platform boots. And they're just super butch. I'm sorry. They are. It's butch vibes.
David Cornsweat is 6'4", so he's got no danger of being too tall or of too short.
Wait, what?
I was like, maybe...
What is his height?
He's 6'4".
Okay, yeah.
It's so funny, too, because he played such a dickhead in Twisters.
I still don't even... he was like...
He was that annoying team member of the other guy, of the simp guy.
Corporation guy?
Yep.
Okay. Rapscallion said regular show is the GOAT. I love regular show. Shane H. Wilder said Avatar was Nick. What is this?
Karana, I think he means... what's it?
The spin-off of Legend of Korra, maybe, was not as good. Yeah, definitely not even close. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. It was Nick that aired Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I was obsessed with Adventure Time growing up before it became like Chugi and Reddit. Mm-hmm. And I feel I was right to enjoy it because it's a cartoon, which means it's for children. But they eventually made it like super... They made it for like Tumblr adults. It got really like Steven Universified.
Not me over here like looking for pictures of Lois Lane to see if she's what shoes she's wearing. And
is she ever wearing stilettos in the movie?
Like I just Googled her like as Lois.
What about
Lane
the comics though? In the comics, is she wearing stilettos?
I'm sure she's wearing heels in the comics.
I bet she is.
I'm looking.
Make it a sexy journalist.
Can't do that, man.
Sexy journalist in Louboutins.
Literally all the pictures, her feet are cut off. I can't see.
Oh, man.
That's too bad.
Okay, well, if we found evidence, it would show in every other iteration.
Holy crap, I think she's wearing those shoes in that shot there. Yeah, what's she dressed like that for?
It's gross.
Lois.
This is how Gen Z women dress in office jobs, though.
Yeah.
They're wearing these awful chunky loafers. I can't stand it.
That's a problem.
Inspector Gadget Forever said a crazy guy called Sergeant Peyton on Inverted World.
Okay.
Well, what was his deal? Like, what was he saying? Urashima Otaru said Adventure Time started good, then went woke. I don't even know if it went woke, or maybe I checked out before it ever went woke. I definitely stopped watching before the point when they ended it officially. But it just got really convoluted and unnecessarily like fake deep after a while.
I swear I've seen like 90 images. I'm looking through like Google Images, and in all of them there's like a newspaper blocking her shoes.
Suspicious, isn't it? I've uncovered a conspiracy
in this
on
one,
this episode.
They're pretty bad.
That is awful. Oh my gosh. They can't keep getting away with it.
But you know what it is? This is what Gen Z gets. This is their fashion. She's a Gen Z Lois Lane.
Wait, really?
I think so.
Rachel Brosnan?
I mean, she's
no
playing
freaking way.
Or she's playing a millennial who
No.
thinks she's Gen Z.
No. Wait.
How old is she?
Let's see.
She's dressing like a Gen Z Lois Lane.
Rachel Brosnan is 34 years old.
Doesn't mean they're not they're like everybody's saying this is a Superman for Gen Z.
Well,
So-
because of the broccoli haircut
the
that Clark
broccoli-
Kent had. And David Cornsweet is 32.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, that's not checking out to me. And even if they were Gen Z, there's no excuse for a fashion sin like I just saw. Shane H. Wilder said Korra was so bad I forgot its name, LOL. Well, I mean, to be fair, I liked The Legend of Korra for the first season, and then they lost me in the second season. It still wasn't as good as the first series, obviously, but they had me going there for a minute, and then it just went full, like, lesbian and just not... It was bad. Urashima Otaru said they turned Princess Bubblegum into a lesbo. They did. They did, and it's a travesty. And wasn't it with Marceline, the vampire?
I mean, I'm sorry. What are the fashion requirements at the Daily Planet? Like, why is that Jimmy Olsen? Why is Jimmy Olsen?
You better be giving full office siren if you work at the Daily Planet, or I'm not having it.
Perry White's not having it.
No.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not done so already? Please and thank you. We might actually get to a second Crisis Party perhaps before we finish signing off.
Yes.
But we'll have to wait and see. Remember, there is a conspiracy to butch up Lois Lane's feet
It's
in
true.
this movie. You know what it is? The feet finder people are out in force looking for anything they can, and Rachel Brosnahan and James Gunn were like, nay.
Say it with me. We want toe cleavage. We want toe cleavage.
Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. Kind of ironic, though, because I'm getting more hate on Instagram than I am on Twitter at this point. I'm also very close to reaching 1,000 followers on TikTok, if I haven't already in the course of this live stream. So go help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived. We have one more from NV1NIL1. I'm not sure how to say that. Have you watched Suburban Mayhem 2006? Nope. I have not.
All right, guys, if you would like to follow me, I almost just signed off. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We're here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is always very helpful to the channel, so thank you so much for that. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.